Welcome to Resilient in Business, a podcast where we dive into insights, strategies, and systems to help you build scalable, thriving businesses. My name is Jad Atwe. I'm an engineer, an entrepreneur, and a business coach. Our intention from this show is to provide value and inspire entrepreneurs to keep pushing forward no matter the challenges. If you enjoy the content, subscribe and help us spread the message. Now, let's get into today's episode. I'm very excited for today's episode. Today, I'm joined with Holly Seybert. Holly is a seasoned freelance copywriter who specializes in crafting persuasive and engaging content that actually turns casual browsers into loyal customers. She has over a decade of experience in marketing, helping small business owners and entrepreneurs communicate clearly their value, build connections with their audience, and drive meaningful action. She's passionate about blending creativity with strategy and brings clarity, personality to your websites, your social media, emails, whatever copy you'd like to write. She's been helping businesses for a very long time. This is going to be an exciting episode. Thank you for joining us, Holly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
What got you excited about writing copy?
So yeah, my story, my career, I feel as most people or a lot of people can relate, it was kind of it wasn't a straight line. It was a kind of a curved path, if you will. So I did graduate college with a degree in marketing. My career actually started out in human resources. I was in staffing and recruiting, which if anyone has ever been in that field, you know that there is a side to marketing and sales with that. So the years go on and I ended up being over the employer brand for a regional retailer in my area. And so I was always involved in marketing. I got to work side by side with our creative team. I was around copywriters, around graphic designers. But what really got me interested in copywriting was I love the messaging, being able to take kind of all these ideas and these thoughts in your head and turning them into words to get your customers, to take action. People think copywriting or copy, when someone's writing, copywriting has a dotted line to revenue. You want customers to take action on your business. And I really just fell in love with it. I'm really passionate about, learning about people's businesses and helping them succeed and scale and grow.
Absolutely. I definitely believe there's value in words, like the words that you say actually matter to the people reading them. Do you find that business owners actually understand what copywriting is, and what's your experience? Are they aware how important it is?
Yeah, so that's a great question. That's a loaded question. I'll try not to ramble too much and stay on task. So cut me off if you want to ask any follow-up questions for sure. So, as I mentioned before, copywriting compared to, say, content writing, a lot of times content writing, you're writing to inform, you're writing to entertain, where copy, you are trying to get someone to take an action. And so I feel that though, when you are starting a business, a lot of times that is the last thing on your mind, or, it's fine. It's my business. I know what to say. I know how to do it. And, no one else can do that, but me. It's oftentimes, I feel like and this is not, I love graphic designers. I don't know what I would do without them. It's a skill I don't have, but a lot of times the graphics and the design, that kind of gets the priority. I feel like it's fun, it's sexy. People are like, I want this swanky website. Well, if people are coming to your cool swanky website and your messaging is not connecting, they're going to leave. And unfortunately, I think a lot of businesses kind of realize that over time. Or another challenge that I see a lot with business owners is, I used AI. That's always a hot topic especially in the writing world and the freelance world. I can confidently say that no, AI is not going to full out replace any kind of writer. It's a machine. You put stuff in, it's going to spit stuff out. The machine doesn't know you. It doesn't know your business. It doesn't know what messaging you're trying to get across. It doesn't understand the emotions of your audience. And so a human looking at your writing is always going to be beneficial. In fact, I still get alerts from LinkedIn job postings that copywriting job openings have been increasing. I would say, I mean, I get them all the time for the past year. And what I think happened was, people kind of laid off the writing team, or they didn't think they needed copywriters anymore. And they're like, we're going to use AI. And then they realized when they saw maybe, we're not connecting as well, we're seeing our business suffer. Maybe we do need a professional writer, working on
Yeah.
our marketing.
And the problem here is that AI is not doing the purchasing. Like it's not a human being. Like it doesn't have the
Correct.
yeah. Yeah. So what type of businesses do you work with?
Yeah, so I'm pretty industry agnostic. I have worked in more industries, over others. I mentioned retail, SaaS, tech, HR. I've done, some fun industries too, pet care, the events industry, so like weddings, event professionals. But I talk to and I've done projects for all types of industries. Research is a huge part of what I do, and learning not only about someone's business, but putting myself in the customer's shoes and
Yes.
really immersing yourself in an industry.
Yeah. What do you feel are the differences between different industry and the copy that we should be including on our websites? I find sometimes people, when they're trying to sell a course, they want to elaborate a lot. This approach doesn't necessarily resonate with other types of services. What's your experience there, and how should we approach it?
Yeah, sure. So I feel like this is kind of a takeaway. And at the end here, I'll kind of like summarize, I think, everything that I'm saying into kind of 3 action items or things to keep in mind, if you are a small business or entrepreneur. But with industries, I'm going to use, think tech, finance, technical, even medical. You run into this a lot. But I feel like a lot of times businesses want to use, and this is not going to be a fancy word, but fancy schmancy jargon. They want to really, oh, look how credible I am. I'm using all these fancy words that only people in my industry, know. And what I can tell you is that that doesn't work. Like, that's not how you prove your credibility. And so cutting down on the jargon, not only does it, you don't know who's coming to your site. Maybe it's someone new, or someone that's not totally familiar with the industry, but they need to connect with someone in your industry and they're just confused, they're lost, they don't know what you're about and they leave. So clarity and cutting down on that industry jargon is probably one of the biggest things that I see varying across industries. Something like I mentioned, I've done projects with pet care. That's something that's very approachable, accessible by a lot, the general population, compared to, a B2B SaaS product that's very specific. Their messaging and the verbiage on their site should be just as clear as, the doggy daycare down the street.
Hey, a quick commercial break. This podcast is brought to you by Business Optimization Partners, a firm that specializes in helping entrepreneurs systemize their business and transform it into a professionally managed asset that is scalable and easy to operate. If you wish to learn more, download the guide to running a professionally managed business that's available in the description. Now, back to the episode. So basically making it simple for people to understand. That's the idea
making
here.
it simple. Yep.
Yeah. So let's get to it. What are the 3 tips that we should keep in mind when we're doing our copy?
Sure. So I'll kind of give 3 action items. You can, one, I would say the first thing that I often see, and this isn't necessarily just product focused, even if you are a professional service or service-based business, but focusing on the features. I'm going to use a really simple example: features over benefits. Like I said, a mattress. We all have a mattress. Very, very simple product that we all use, to say, well, this mattress is filled with, I don't know, organic bamboo fibers from the forests of an exotic land. I'm kind of making this up here. Okay, what does that mean? That means nothing to me. As a consumer, okay, cool, but what are the benefits? It improves, your sleeping position, take away that back pain and, live your days pain-free. What are the benefits of this particular material that you're stuffing a mattress with? So to kind of summarize, that's features over benefits. Really hone in on the benefit of your product or service and how it can impact your customer or audience. The second one I already mentioned, but don't be complex and wordy. If someone comes to your site, even if you are the most technical product out there and your audience is so niche, it should be so clear though what you do and why someone should want to work with you, the benefit of working with you. So definitely cutting out on the industry jargon. The biggest one, and everyone's like, well, of course I know that, but the amount of times that I see this is just crazy, and not having a clear call to action. What do you want this reader to do? Copy's about getting that audience to take an action and hopefully increasing your bottom line. And copy is everywhere. So yeah, you want them to make a purchase, but maybe it's, hey, listen to my podcast. Hey, maybe it's sign up for my email newsletter or follow us on Facebook. What do you want that reader to do? And make it clear. Make it clear what action you want them to take. That is like the number one, and I feel like it's in marketing 101, but the number of times that I see that it's forgotten is crazy. So to kind of summarize, focus on benefits over features. Don't be too complex and wordy, and have that clear CTA, have a clear call to action.
What you said at the beginning is very important. Sometimes people do their website thinking about themselves. Those are not thinking about who's buying. A huge mistake.
Yeah. And I think I always tell people that, especially solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, really qualified, credible people, when they think, well, it's me, it's on me. A professional copywriter is going to be able to take your voice and create that marketing and free your time up, to run your business and do other revenue generating activity.
So what's the process of working with a professional copywriter?
Sure. So I can tell you how I work. This is going to be different, if you go to an agency or, other freelancers. I know freelancers oftentimes have a little bit more flexibility just because it's usually just them. I can tell you my process. So typically what I do is that I always start with a call, a discovery call. What do you think you want to do? What have you tried in the past? Why hasn't it worked? A lot of times people might think they want this, but maybe they're still here, and really almost being kind of a consultant, or, hey, obviously your business, your final call, providing those suggestions and kind of being a partner. I love being an ally in someone's business. So starting off with that discovery call, on what the best steps are moving forward. And then from there, I usually, will send out a quote or a proposal, my ideas based on the outcome of that call. And then from there, there's a timeline on there. If people are good to go, we start with a kickoff call and filling out a creative brief and really digging into. I always tell people when we're on a kickoff call, I'm like, I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to be like, what? It's really to, take a deep dive into your business and your audience. And, I've even had people like, I don't know, I've never thought of that. And so I love it because it gets them thinking too for other areas of their business. And so, yeah, then after that kickoff call, I'm very transparent with timeline and where I'm at. If it's a big project, always love to have several just, hey, here's where I'm at. But, I try to be, once the ball's in my court, I want to be as efficient as I can because you have a business to run, and, to get over that final product. And then, of course, always revisions, edits, all part of the process.
Absolutely. It sounds like you're not a big fan of AI. Tell me more. Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna correct you. I'm not a fan of AI. I think AI is a wonderful tool, especially for small businesses, for, people who are on their own. It's a wonderful, I mean, there are days where, like, my head, even though I'm a paper planner, I love my day planner, pen and pencil, very analog, but there are days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I wrote this down and this happened, and now my head is just swirling with what to do. And like, I've excuse me, I've thrown that into, AI and been like, please help me. I have this much time and I need these tasks. And it just, I don't know, it kind of is like, okay, we're going to focus, we're going to pull you back in. And so it's wonderful for efficiency standpoint, great for research too. An industry that I'm like, whew, all right, what are we doing here? What's this? I'm using this product. Like, let's dive in here. Wonderful for research or pointing me to other resources. And you know what? It's great for outlining things. What key points, what challenges is this audience facing, and how can I help them? I will say, don't use AI to write the actual words that you're getting, but it's a great partner. So, I mean, it's here to stay. People who are denying it and acting like it doesn't exist, sorry, you're going to have to adapt eventually. Or should I say, I encourage you to try to work it in, to certain areas of your business. It can be a great partner.
Yeah, just not in copy, not in my business.
It's a machine. It's, I think it's great for, what are some, talking to it like it's a almost like a focus group. I shouldn't say focus group. You know what I mean. But
An
like,
assistant,
okay,
an
well,
assistant, yeah, research
or
assistant.
a lot of times too, you're narrowed by, if it's an ad, you only have so much character space. And so it's like, okay, every word on this image needs to be earned. What do I want to do here? And so I think a lot of times you need a human. You need someone that can connect with emotion. So AI, I don't hate it. It's a wonderful partner. It's helped me a lot in my business. But really, when it comes to that final copy, that human touch is what I think what you're going to need.
Absolutely. What are some success stories? Like someone had a terrible website, Holly came and turned their business around. We'd like to hear some of those.
Sure. Yes. I think one of the things that I've seen, I'll share a story with social media, which I know everyone's like, oh, I can do social media, until you get into running someone's social media account. It takes a lot of time. And it's really like just posting about, your product and your business is very that's not what people want to see. You're taking a deep dive into your followers and what you want to see, and I mean, those captions that you see on social media, I mean, that's copywriting. So, I have worked with a client. They're a SaaS software company, and their social was pretty slow. It was kind of just existing out there to exist because they were tech. And really came in, figured out some great content pillars. What does our audience want to see? And, not everything was about tech or, about software. It was other areas that business is, related, that business could relate to, and they would find value. That's the thing. Are they finding value in your posts? And really turned it around. And, within a couple months, the impressions and the engagements, I mean, it was up over 100% increase. And we got them in front of a new audience and more engagement. And that's not even getting into the nitty gritty of like social media management, which can be a whole other ballgame. This was simply just, writing and creating content and captions that, their audience would find value in. This is just kind of with the words, and the graphics do play into that. I will give that. But I mean, even on social media, those captions, they're getting picked up. It's a search engine. I mean, they're going to get picked up and presented and whatever the algorithm is feeling that day. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of success on social too.
It's easy to get caught up in the technical jargon of each person's industry, because this is how we communicate each day.
Yes, I know. Until you're talking to someone outside of a particular industry and they're like, what?
Yeah. So that's one. Do you have any other story in other industries?
So, and then let's see here. Something outside of social here. I know that there is one that is still, I don't think they've published yet,
Yes.
but I'll kind of be generic. But yeah, they had basically their website was, I would compare it to, the information was there. And this was a service. It was a service-based business, but it was kind of like a Google, like if you were like, I have ideas, and you just wrote a Word document of like, okay, these are our hours. This is our fee. Here's what we're doing. That's what their website was. And it was a highly
Boring.
What was that?
Boring.
It was boring. Yeah. It was like, you were submitting, a document to your supervisor. And so really just taking that information and making it sound fun and what you do. And yes, they had competitors. They were a local brick and mortar business. They had competitors around, but really just shining on what's their value proposition. And even that boring information, you can make it super fun. And the owner was, she didn't have time for this, but her personality and what she wanted the business to be, and getting that on the screen and taking that general information that you see, your hours, your costs, what it includes. Or maybe she had a lot of extra fees too if certain things happened, and showing them in a positive light. Hey, we know things happen. Give us this, if not, there is a fee. Things like that, turning what people might see as a negative into like this is why we're doing it, and turning it into more of a positive light. So even just simple adjustments like that. And I know they're getting ready to relaunch it, their design and or their site, I mean. And so I'm really excited to see the final product.
Yeah. So, I mean, your involvement is more or less with everything that we write to the audience: websites, newsletters, social media.
Yeah. I mean, copy is everywhere in a business. So you hit the big ones, the websites, the social media, email newsletters, things like even I do content, I do blog writing as well with SEO, which isn't totally copy. We're kind of getting into the content area there, but even things like internal video scripts. Or, a large corporation, a lot of times they'll have copywriters work on some internal things as well, like rolling out new benefits. Like I used to work in HR, and it's like when you have to change people's health benefits for our US folks out there, it's a touchy subject. And so, that right wording, and you're essentially selling kind of this new thing that's going to impact people's lives. And even though you're thinking not sales, you still need to approach it and sell it in a right way, or you're going to have disgruntled employees, and that's not good either. So, a lot of times corporations will use copywriting help on internal things like that, internal communications too, podcast notes. Yeah, there's another one. So yeah, it's really, doing, connecting with your audience about your business so that it, helps overall success and growth.
Absolutely. What's your final advice for business owners listening to this?
Yeah, so I'll kind of do not copy and then copy. Not copy with business owners. And I know people listening to this, maybe you're just starting out, or maybe you're not sure, or maybe it's a side hustle for now. My thing is that when I went freelance, I was like, this isn't just some little writing hobby. I was very intentional. I was like, I guess I'm mainly speaking to entrepreneurs and freelancers, but solopreneurs, that like, it's a business, and it's like everything I do, and keeping track of costs and that bottom line. So I would say, treat it like a business, even if it's just you, even if you still have to have that full-time job and you're doing it on the side. Treat it like a business, not a side hustle, and trust your gut. Like, never ignore your gut feelings too. That's always my thing. And copy, kind of a final takeaway. I know I listed those 3 tips, but when you get, and I understand that not everyone's going to be at the point to invest in a writer, a copywriter, content writer. I get that. Outsourcing writing is, it's kind of maybe a later stage of your business journey. But definitely don't forget about it. Don't put the writing on the back burner. I know I talked about, graphics are so fun and cool, and they are. Writing and copy can be just as fun and cool, and don't forget about it. It's important, and definitely look into, outsourcing. Either some or all of it. It's going to free up your time. It takes more time than you think. And so definitely put it on your to-do list for when you're ready to scale and grow your business.
Absolutely. Thank you, Holly. This was very insightful, especially since like having the right copy, going on someone's website and having the right copy, it makes a difference between moving on or actually reaching out. So I'm sure that the audience will find this very valuable. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for tuning into the Resilient in Business podcast. This show is all about providing valuable insights and inspiring entrepreneurs to keep pushing forward no matter the challenges. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and help us spread the message. See you on the next one.